An NBA insider believes that the Utah Jazz could trade their star player away, and Scott Perry, former Knicks GM, commented on if he believes the New York Knicks will go after them, and we have to break this down. So what's up, guys? My name's Chris. Welcome back to Knicks Digest, and let's jump right into things as we always do, because NBA insider Zach Lowe believes that Lauri Markkanen could get traded off of the Utah Jazz. Right here it says on a Reddit post that Zach Lowe said, "A guy I have been asked about a lot is what the Jazz are going to do with Lauri Markkanen. Executives wonder if he could be traded as Utah commits to the tank." Now, as we know, the Utah Jazz have had a rough start to the season. It's actually right there below. They are 7-13. It feels like things are not going to get better. And they have a few guys who they could theoretically trade, such as Jordan Clarkson, who would be very useful on a championship team, but also Lauri Markkanen, who is the best player on the Utah Jazz. As his contract is almost over, he could become a free agent in 2025 and walk from the team as he would be unrestricted. And the Utah Jazz might be looking to lose Lauri Markkanen as he is making them too good to tank as we speak. Markkanen showed up to the Utah Jazz and basically just showed out the second he got there. He showed that he is more than what he was in the Chicago Bulls. He showed that he's more than what he was in Cleveland. And he won Most Improved Player on the Utah Jazz after, for the Jazz, were a 1 seed for a bit. They ended up missing the playoffs completely after all. But they did spend some time as a 1 seed. Markkanen was an all-star, and he beat out New York Knicks star Jalen Brunson for the Most Improved Player award last season. All of this being said, Scott Perry has commented on what could happen in regards to Lauri Markkanen and if the New York Knicks could look to trade for him. And Perry added his own sort of opinion to this, and we're going to keep looking. So as you can see, Scott Perry right here was on the Hoop Genius podcast, which is hosted by Mo Muncy and BJ Armstrong, former NBA world champion. And Perry joins this podcast a lot. He's been hopping on it a few times ever since his departure away from the New York Knicks. And he's had a lot of things to say about the Knicks, obviously, because he is an insider with the team. He understands a lot of the guys. He's built up a relationship with a lot of the New York Knicks. And we've seen a few reports, such as his interest in maybe OG Anunoby coming to the Knicks, or a potential DeMar DeRozan trade, or the fact that he thinks RJ Barrett should be a shooting guard. The man just has more information on the Knicks than any other person who's in the media right now, as he did just finish up his tenure as the Knicks GM, where he spent some years that saw the Knicks get back into the playoffs. He was on that Knicks front office staff that signed Julius Randle, that drafted RJ Barrett. Scott Perry was there for that. He's known these guys a while. He has a rapport on them. And because of that, he is a very reliable source. And essentially what Scott Perry was saying is that despite the fact that he does like Lauri Markkanen and think he's a very talented player, he doesn't really like the fit when it comes down to him joining the New York Knicks, as the Cavs tried to play him at the 3 and it didn't really work, and the Jazz are more putting him at the 4 slot than anything else, though now also with John Collins there this season, he's playing a little more of the small forward. But I sort of agree with Scott Perry. I don't think this is something that's going to work out. Because if you were to look at the New York Knicks right now, what's being pushed is that the Knicks could give Evan Fournier and a bunch of draft picks. First of all, Danny Ainge is going to milk everything he can out of the New York Knicks. He does not like the New York Knicks, so he would make things very difficult to trade for to even begin with, to the point where the Knicks will probably be overpaying for a guy who theoretically could leave the New York Knicks as soon as 2025. And also the other reason is because of Julius Randle and the fact that the New York Knicks, one of their 2 franchise players, Julius Randle, is the starting Knick power forward. And it's hard to believe that Randle is going anywhere. He seems very connected to the New York Knicks organization. He's now been here for 4.5 seasons. This is his 5th season with the New York Knicks. He signed here in the summer of 2019. And he's been great for the New York Knicks overall in a vacuum when you look at it. But if you just look here at Markkanen's contract, this is essentially a huge drawback, but it also looks remarkably similar to the contract of Evan Fournier, which is why they're just such a close match that maybe if you threw some picks, maybe an unprotected first and then 2 more protected picks, Danny Ainge would start talking. But I assume he would just want so much from the Knicks that it would be pointless. And also, I don't even like the idea of Evan Fournier and then two protected picks and 1 unprotected for Lauri Markkanen. Especially because then the Knicks are a weird lineup. They're taking someone who's not in their rotation. They're trading him for a guy who has been an all-star last season. And now you have to cut someone's minutes. And that gets complicated. It's unsure whose minutes would get cut. But everyone who plays for the New York Knicks right now deserves the minutes they get. There are guys who do not play for the New York Knicks, who are on the Knicks but do not get rotational minutes, who probably deserve to play in the NBA. Most notably, Deuce McBride, but Evan Fournier is also one of them, and even Jericho Sims. I don't see the point in making this trade unless you are going to trade Julius Randle in some sort of three-team trade that brings you Lauri. But just to answer this question, because everyone might be wondering it, no, I would not trade Julius Randle for Lauri Markkanen straight up. Because as of right now, if the New York Knicks were to trade for Markkanen, they'd probably not trade Randle. And then you have another guy who's demanding touches, and we've been over this on this channel a million times. The Knicks have enough guys who need touches that right now, unless they're going to trade one of their three best players, and Brunson surely isn't going anywhere, it's hard to imagine Randle goes somewhere. And then RJ Barrett has that poison pill contract. I think the best move for the Knicks would to be doing more of an underrated or under the radar move, where you're sort of just going for guys who can help you right now and maybe wouldn't cost a ton of draft capital, unless you were making a serious blockbuster trade where all bets are off and we could see Julius Randle get moved or we could see RJ Barrett get moved. And I don't really like the idea of that for a guy who could walk in 2025. I don't think Julius Randle's going to walk from the Knicks if the Knicks want him back. I think Julius would stick around in New York, especially Kyden Randle's getting older. He's starting school. Jace Randle's going to be old enough that he's going to be in school in a bit. And then you don't want to uproot your family and say, hey, I know you've made connections here. I know you have friends and now family here that's located in New York, that's memories set, for instance, Kyden Randle, his earliest memories are going to be in New York City. You really want to uproot your family and move them away unless it's not your choice? I don't think so. And I don't think the New York Knicks really should trade Julius Randle. I mean, if you look right here, we just did a video on this. Shout out to Dariel for making an awesome video. And Randle's been good. He's a great player on the New York Knicks. I actually saw a comment recently that was saying that I don't like Julius Randle. That is not true. Without Julius Randle, there is no Jalen Brunson. The Knicks are not good enough to go for Jalen Brunson. They would not have gone for Jalen Brunson. So next time you're thinking, I don't like Julius Randle, if he didn't play well in 2020, if he didn't have that year, if the Knicks didn't show that they had the playoff capabilities, they probably would not have went out and tried to sign Jalen Brunson, because they probably wouldn't even have been thinking playoffs. They probably would have moved Randle for nothing, done the addition by subtraction, because say Randle kept playing like he did in 2019, that would have been a problem. And really, no, none of that happened. And Julius was a huge reason for Jalen Brunson's presence with the Knicks and for the Knicks' success in a whole. So I don't really understand the Julius Randle hate, as I've said on multiple occasions. But I'll be honest, I do kind of think Lauri Markkanen would be a better fit than Randle. However, I think Randle's a better player. Randle has playoff experience. Randle's a better defender. I'm sticking with Julius Randle if you ask me. He knows the Knicks. He knows the New York Knicks. So maybe Lauri's a better fix. He's a little bit better of a shooter. And it would add more court spacing. But with the way Jalen Brunson's playing and spacing the court, the Knicks have enough court spacing as it is. If they plug in DiVincenzo for Grimes, you got a backcourt that's shooting over 40% from three, and that is elite. That's really all that we have on the Lauri Markkanen topic, guys. I just don't see a path to trading for him. You trade Fournier, and then boom, you have to take someone out of the lineup who's getting paid a lot of money because you're not taking Quickly out. He's too good. And then it's either Josh Hart or Dante DiVincenzo. When someone gets moved to the bench, probably Grimes, RJ becomes a shooting guard, and it just doesn't make sense. It makes no sense. Lauri Markkanen to the Knicks makes no sense, and it's also not going to happen because I don't see the Knicks and the Jazz making any trades anytime soon after the Donovan Mitchell debacle. So thank you so much for tuning into this video, guys. This is probably coming out late on Monday night. We're back on that 2-video grind today. Tomorrow morning, you guys are going to get more content from us, and then there will be a post-game after the New York Knicks beat the Milwaukee Bucks. Yeah, you heard me. I said it. The Knicks are moving on to the next round of the NBA in-season tournament. I'll see you all in Vegas. Have a very nice day. Go Knicks.